Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I just wanted to touch on a little business topic today. A friend of mine has sent me a script that explains the massive impact on his business and the knock-on effect on the economy. Now, as you know, I like to touch on a little bit of business, a little bit of finance, this and that on this channel because it's quite diverse. And I just thought I would read out his entire email. Now, he's a good friend of mine and he will see all the comments that anyone leaves on this video. So make sure you comment, bearing in mind that he will read these. I can promise that. He wishes to remain anonymous, which I understand, but he has sent me this email to read out, and I'm gonna read it word for word, and let's see what everyone thinks in the comments below. I can't give financial advice, I have to put that out there. I'm not qualified to give financial advice, and anything that I say is for entertainment and education purposes only, but not financial advice. Here we go. So the living wage rose again in April to £12.21 an hour. When I started my first business in 2016, the living wage was £7.20, so it has seen a 70% increase in just 9 years. For my business, this equates to an additional £60,000 per year in salaries for the same labour. Imagine what that means for larger businesses. Of course, wages rise, but there must be some kind of science or some actual real benefit. I wholeheartedly agree that people should be paid a fair wage for their labour, but the reality is that these ill thought out minimum wage increases negatively affect everybody. The everybody's in large letters. Even those that it purports to help. National insurance contributions for employers have also risen to 15% and are now payable on all earnings over £5,000. It was previously £9,500. To quantify what this means, for an employee on minimum wage working 40 hours per week, the company will be paying an additional £800 per year in national insurance alone for one employee. I have 8 employees, so that is £6,400 a year in additional national insurance contributions, and for no actual benefit to the business or the employee. Some businesses cannot absorb these increases. An increase in hourly wage rates and national insurance contributions is an increase in cost to a business. The business is not getting anything additional for this extra cost, i.e. no more productivity, no more income, no more profit. So the business will have to reduce costs to bring them back in line with revenue. How will they do this? There are 2 ways. Method 1, they will reduce the number of people that work for the company and or reduce the number of hours that they work. So the real result is that the staff will still earn the same, but the business earns less, i.e. less hours worked equals less productivity equals less revenue. So the business is now worse off, and therefore the business pays less tax. The business owner is or are also worse off, and thus they will also be paying less tax into the system. So the country is now worse off too. The business owner will also have less disposable income, so will be spending less, i.e. putting less back into the economy. So the actual result of these types of increases is 1, despite a higher hourly rate, the employee actually gains nothing extra. 2, the business loses money. 3, the country and economy loses money, i.e. nobody wins. Method 2, the business addresses the reduction in revenue by increasing the price for their goods or services to cover the additional labour cost. Net effect, the customer also ends up worse off, paying more for the same product, or more likely they just stop buying the goods and services and the business declines and eventually fails. Again, nobody wins. Another key issue is the vast rises in the lowest rate of pay also impacts all levels of pay. Let's say that the person that cleans the office gets £500 a week, i.e. 40 hours at circa £12.21 an hour. Not saying there's anything wrong with cleaning, by the way, but relative to the wage paid for other jobs, £12.21 an hour could be considered a lot. Of course, the shift leader will then want £600 a week. The department head will want £800 a week. The assistant manager is going to want £1,000 a week, and the manager is going to want £1,200 a week. Obviously, there's an increase the cleaner can't be on the same wage as the manager, quite clearly. Ever increasing wages leads to ever increasing costs. As the companies increase their prices to pay their higher payroll, higher prices mean higher inflation, and then everyone is poorer because every pound in your pocket or bank account will be worth that little bit less. Everyone should be paid a fair wage for their labour and skills, of course, but introducing a flat figure with no actual economic reasoning will spell disaster. In my humble opinion, flat level minimum living wage levels across the nation are not relative to the cost of living either. £12.21 an hour in Surrey is not the same actual tangible value as £12.21 in Lancashire, as an example. Ultimately, minimum wage increases are most likely to cause businesses to employ less people, reducing their staff levels, and reduce the number of hours worked by their staff. Many small to medium businesses will not survive the next 5 years. Lower income families could quite possibly be the biggest losers. When companies start laying off people that are now 70% more expensive to employ than they were just a few years ago, in my humble opinion, family tax credits are a far better tool to actually support lower income families. Another huge flaw is that the minimum wage increases only aims to help those that actually work. It doesn't address the huge problem of those that do not work at all. It is a very ill thought out attempt to gain support and votes from the many of the people that it will ultimately hurt the most. This is just one of the policies that is going to kill the economy. Entrepreneurs, business owners are leaving the country in their droves due to the numerous measures introduced to punish any kind of innovation, risk, investment or entrepreneurship. Now, that's the end of that email that he sent me, and I've read that out word for word. As you could see, I was reading it from my iPad. It's very true. Basically, everything's going up. I mean, I'm not just talking about the UK now. Obviously, that particular email is relating to the UK and a business in the UK. I'm not talking about just that now. I'm talking about, for argument's sake, my restaurant businesses here. When I first opened the business here, a kilo of minced beef, I don't use the mince and pork because it's a cheaper, inferior quality product, which is cheaper. A kilo of minced beef was €6.40. As of today, it's €10.40. Now, I can't double the price or put 50% on the price of the product that we make with that. So again, that eats into the profit. Obviously, they've had wage increases. The electricity is going up. Taxes always seem to be there. Food increases, coffee is all going up. Drinks have gone up. Absolutely everything to do with my business. Now, I've got two choices. I can put my prices up to compensate that. But again, the person that is the end user, the person that eats the food and drinks the drinks, will be ultimately affected by my price increase. But my price increase isn't to benefit me, that's to keep it as a standard level. I can't absorb a 60% increase in beef costs and not put anything on the pie that the beef is going into. Because obviously, in the end, all I'm going to be doing is making the pie and losing money, which doesn't work when it comes to paying the wages at the end of every month. So what I'm saying is, obviously, the more increases that the businesses absorb, the higher the prices are going to be for absolutely everyone. And it's something to bear in mind. Like I say, the minimum wage is a great headline, isn't it, for everyone? It's, you know, my money's gone up. But ultimately, the businesses are going to have to increase their prices, obviously with the national insurance contributions going up as well. The businesses are going to have to increase their prices as well in line with this, which is then going to effectively, you're going to be getting more money, paying more tax, but then the product that you're buying is going to go up as well. And that's where inflation becomes it's not controllable. So it's just something I wanted to mention today. I hope you enjoyed that little video. I will not mention who the message was from, but he will be seeing your comments. So let us know in the comments, guys, what you think. Like I say, it's a bit of a vicious circle, isn't it? When the prices go up to the businesses and the wages costs and the national insurance costs go up to the businesses have got to increase their prices to remain in business. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Speak to you soon, guys. Have a good weekend.